The rain painted cold, silver streaks down the big window of Mario's family diner. Inside, the air was warm and smelled of garlic and baking bread. Behind the counter, Leo moved with the tired rhythm of a man who had built his world from scratch, a world of clean tables, loyal customers, and the gentle clink of china. His most precious part of that world sat in a corner booth, her small nose buried in a picture book. 8-year-old Lily, his sunshine. The bell above the door jangled, not with its usual cheerful sound, but with a damp, hesitant whisper. A man stood in the doorway, soaked through. His coat was worn thin, his shoulders hunched against the chill he carried in with him. He didn't ask for a table. He just stood there, water pooling at his boots, his eyes scanning the room with a hollow look that spoke of empty stomachs and colder nights. A murmur went through the diner. A few customers shifted uncomfortably. Leo's chest tightened. He saw the glances, the subtle shrinking away. This was a family place, a respectable place. The man's presence was a disruption, a shadow. He felt a familiar protective urge rise, protect his business, protect his customers' comfort, protect Lily from any unpleasantness. He walked over, his steps firm on the tiled floor. "Sir," Leo said, his voice low but clear, "I'm going to have to ask you to leave." The old man's eyes met his. They weren't angry, they were just tired. "I'm sorry," the man whispered, his voice rough. "I was just getting out of the rain for a moment." "The rain's letting up," Leo said, his jaw set. He gestured toward the door, his movement final. "You need to go, now." For a heartbeat, the old man just stood there, a silent statue of despair. Then he nodded once, a slow, defeated motion. He turned and pushed the door open, disappearing back into the gray, weeping evening. A heavy silence settled in the diner, broken only by the sizzle from the kitchen. Leo let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. He turned back, ready to return to the sanctuary of his counter, to his ledger, to his daughter. That's when he heard it. A small, earnest voice threading through the quiet. "Dear God," it whispered, "please don't be mad at my daddy." He froze. He turned slowly. Lily was in her booth, but her book was closed. Her small hands were clasped tightly on the vinyl tabletop, her knuckles white. Her eyes were squeezed shut, her forehead pressed against her fists. "He just forgets sometimes," she prayed, her voice trembling just a little. "He forgets that you sent that man to us for help. You sent him here, to our restaurant, because you knew we had food. And Daddy has the biggest heart in the whole world. He really does. He's just very tired from making the spaghetti." Leo felt the floor tilt beneath him. The sounds of the diner, the clinking forks, the low chatter, faded into a distant hum. All he could hear was the seismic crack in his daughter's faith, not in God, but in him. "So please," Lily continued, a single tear escaping down her cheek, "can you help that man find some dry clothes and a hot dinner? And maybe help my daddy remember how to see you in people? Amen." She opened her eyes, blinking away the wetness. She looked up and saw her father standing there, rooted to the spot. She gave him a small, wobbly smile, as if to say, "It's okay, Daddy, I fixed it." But nothing was okay. In that moment, Leo didn't see a beggar he had thrown out. He saw a test he had failed, a divine invitation delivered to his very doorstep that he had slammed shut. He saw the reflection of his own coldness in his daughter's tearful eyes. The weight of it crushed the air from his lungs. Without a word, he moved. He wasn't the stoic owner anymore. He was a man propelled by a desperate need to undo an unforgivable mistake. He grabbed his own heavy coat from the back office. He rushed into the kitchen, where Carlos the cook was stirring a vast pot of marinara. "Carlos, the biggest takeout bowl. Now, load it up. Meatballs, pasta, bread, everything," Leo said, his voice urgent.
Carlos took one look at his boss's pale, stricken face and didn't ask a single question. He started piling food into a large container. Leo grabbed a thermos and filled it with rich, hot soup. He shoved rolls, a slice of cake, napkins, and plasticware into a bag. He burst out of the diner door, the bell clanging wildly behind him. The cold rain hit his face. He looked left, then right. The street was glistening and empty. His heart hammered against his ribs. "Please," he thought, echoing his daughter's prayer. "Please." Then he saw a dark shape huddled under the awning of the closed pharmacy 2 blocks down. He ran, the bag swinging in his hands, water splashing up his trousers. The old man was there, trying to light a broken cigarette with shaking hands. He looked up as Leo approached, and his body instinctively braced, expecting more anger, more shame. Leo stopped a few feet away, breathless. He didn't know what to say. "I'm sorry" felt too small. A pebble dropped into an ocean of regret. So he simply held out the offerings, the steaming container of food, the heavy coat, the full bag. This is for you," he managed, his voice thick. "And I was hoping you might come back inside, where it's warm. I have a booth for you. No charge. Not just for tonight, for as long as you need." The old man stared at the coat, then at Leo's face. He saw no pity there, but a raw, aching remorse. The man's eyes, those tired eyes, filled with a different kind of wetness. He slowly reached out and took the coat. His fingers brushed against Leo's, and they were ice cold. "My name is Arthur," he said quietly. "Leo," he replied. "Please, Arthur, come back." Arthur nodded, a slow, profound movement. He shrugged on the coat, its warmth in immediate embrace. Together they walked back to the diner. This time, when the bell jangled, every head turned, but the silence that greeted them was different. It was watchful, curious. Leo led Arthur not to a hidden corner, but to a clean, well-lit booth right in the center of the room. He set the food down. "Can I get you a coffee, Arthur? Tea?" "Coffee would be a blessing," Arthur said, his voice a little stronger. As Leo went to get it, he saw Lily watching from her booth. Her eyes were wide. He walked over to her, knelt so they were eye level. "Lilybuck," he whispered, his own eyes glistening, "your prayer was the most beautiful thing I have ever heard. You taught your daddy a very important lesson tonight." She threw her arms around his neck. "I knew you'd remember," she whispered back. From that night, things changed at Mario's. Leo not only ate a meal and leave. Leo, true to his word, offered him a job. Small tasks at first, wiping down menus, sorting napkins. But it gave Arthur a reason, a routine, a place to belong. The customers who had once shrunk from him began to greet him by name. They saw how Leo treated him with dignity, and they followed suit. One afternoon, a week later, Leo found Arthur carefully polishing the same front window he'd once been thrown out from behind. The sun was out, casting a golden light. Arthur spoke without turning around. "You know, Leo," he said, his reflection clear in the glass, "that night, I wasn't just looking for food. I was just so terribly lonely. I felt invisible. You saw me. First you saw a problem, but then you saw a person." Leo placed a hand on his shoulder. "It was my daughter who taught me how to see," he said. The diner became more than a place for good pasta. It became known as a place of kindness, a small, quiet sanctuary where anyone, no matter how worn their coat or how heavy their heart, could find a hot meal and a moment of peace. Leo learned that the greatest service he could offer wasn't on the menu, it was grace. And every night when he tucked Lily into bed, he would listen to her prayers. They were full of thanks for Arthur, for hot soup, for second chances. And Leo, with a heart now softer and eyes that saw more clearly, would whisper his own silent prayer of gratitude for the small, mighty prophet in his life who had led him back to himself. Sometimes the people who need our help the most are angels in disguise, sent not to test our resources, but to awaken our humanity.